Welcome to the world of expense reports. Look, here's our cute little team.
Aren't
I
they
know,
cute?
aren't we cute? Just
Alright.
kidding. Like I said, I've been kind of doing this for a long time, so I hope, we'll figure it all out, but. All right, let's go through the agenda here. We always have to make this statement. Remember, things could change. There's our little, go-to. Can you guys see over there? Okay. As long as you can see around my head, that's great. All right. And I will tell you that things in here have changed since I've been in it, so it'll be fun. All right. We're going to go through the training activity guides. Log into Workday. So, which tenant are we in? Okay. So this is the new lingo that we were just talking about. We have a spend authorization, which allows you to spend for future travel. Then you have an expense report to be reimbursed out of pocket for anything, and you've got a purchasing card expense report for reconciliation on your credit cards. So those are our new little lingo. It's not a pre-approval anymore, it's a spend authorization. So if we're all logged in to Workday, we in 10 and 11?
We're in 11.
And 11, okay. And we're going to go to the expense hub.
Jenny is still not in.
No.
Oh, no!
I think I might have to do with my renewal, which I'll
That's
do
what I was
this
asking
tomorrow.
Carl, because you're having
Okay.
issues with
Training
that. I
off,
wonder.
Yep, we're gonna go to log into your expense hub. Woo!
So that's like an app.
So there is an app for it, but we're gonna log into the Workday training hub.
Should we use the search bar to find that then?
So
The expense hub is in like the menu of
it's in,
options.
yeah, so. Are we logged into Workday, workday.byu.edu? There's,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so if you go to the menu icon on the,
Yeah, I know, so those, yeah.
So it's.
Going into that.
Yeah.
It's virtual, you have to go to.
Yeah, you can
add,
have
That's go down
And then you
in.
search for it.
go in.
There is an activity slide where everybody
looking
can,
at that?
everybody
Okay.
can go in
So I
and
should
and
just-
do, so
you want me to
you're
just run
getting the
through these?
preview of what
Okay.
we're doing, and then we'll get the
Gotcha.
chance to go in. They're welcome to follow along while you go through this if
Okay.
they want to, but
Thanks, I'm a newbie.
we will have
Okay,
a
We'll go.
specified time for that.
thanks, Tia,
Mhm.
for keeping me on track. All right, so we'll walk through, I'll go through the slides, then we'll walk through. Okay. Sorry, I'm used to getting right on it. Anyways, so underneath the menu bar, there is an access hub for you to go in where you can go in and create a spend authorization or an expense report. It will have all of your list of transactions there, as you can see over on this side. This is kind of what it'll look like a little bit for you. To the next page, please. There we go. So this is the process of a spend authorization, how it goes. So the employee will initiate it, or if you have delegate access for that employee, you can initiate a spend authorization for them. If there's any cash advances, which typically in continuing education, we don't have a whole lot of those. I know at least in my area, the ones that I've done, we typically haven't had any cash advances, but if there is, it will go to the necessary approvals, either the VP if it's international or risk management. And then the project manager, the activity manager will get an approval for it. And then any cost center managers, and finally, the employee will receive notification. So it'll go through kind of the same processes that we already have for the approval processes. Elizabeth's associate controller will be able to kind of look it over and make sure before it goes on to the activity managers for approval. So a pre-authorization to spend and or to travel. So you will need to put in some various information. The one thing that you'll see on these slides is it will always have the BYU company. There may be a time where you will use one of our LLCs, so just keep that kind of in the back of your mind if it's for an activity, and I'll show you that a little bit as we go. Yes.
Did you do a pre-spend authorization for all expenses, no matter what you're paying for?
If you're traveling, that is my.
Because this is and or travel.
Yes, so in my mind, when I was trained, it was only when we were traveling.
Yeah, so spend,
Okay.
spend
I'm like, I wanna make sure
authorizations.
that like Eric has it like, cause it's called the spend authorization, but in my mind, it's the intent to spend money as you travel. Because we're gonna spend money on our cards.
And that same
Yes.
authorization is gonna allow you to spend money, it's also gonna allow you to travel. They come together at the same time to me, but it is an
Yeah.
authorization to do both.
Is that, all right. So we'll have a start and end date and the business purpose. The business purpose will be, I'm going to this professional development, or I'm going on this workday training trip, or wherever you need to go. It's helpful in the justification if you put your location that you're traveling to. And then we're gonna click add so that we can add the various lines to where we're going. So we're gonna add various expense items to this. As you can see down here on the bottom, we've got one for car rental, one for the airfare, and your total spend authorization will add those all together for you. So it's kind of the same thing that we're used to. Each thing that you're gonna spend money for, you're gonna add a different line in order to add an expense item to that. Before, you need to make sure that you've got all of them added. You can complete that before you actually hit the submit button. And this was my biggest problem. I went to submit, thinking I was adding a line. And if you push the submit button, it goes on to the next approver. So watch that as you do it, that we do our add button rather than the submit button. We will add a line in there for the meal per diems for each destination. We'll have the dates in there, and it will also update. So it'll be nice, it'll update it as we kind of go along in the spend authorization. And as you see, you need to put in the destination there, and it will pull from the table that we have as to the dollar amounts that are associated with that location.
For the per diems.
Okay, so then once they'll route to the reviewer in their tasks, and we've got it set up right that the reviewer is the associate controller that is over that area. So we'll go to them first, and they can make any necessary edits. They can send it back, and then they will click the approve button. So let's practice. Okay, so we're gonna go in, and this is our activity tab. How come it
Did
doesn't?
you get logged in?
Okay, so who hasn't gotten logged into Workday? Do we all know what the Workday email address is to use?
Email address?
I mean, the URL.
Oh,
Sorry.
Or you can go on your workday.byu.edu SDM training specialist, and then it has a link Get you into Workday from
That's
there.
some
Info.
job.
Which one?
Info.workday.com
And then you'll do your.
/BYU 11.
Oh, we already did
Was
Workday.
on here.
Great.
I'm looking for the activity guide.
If you go,
We're
right
in
in
action
right
group F, and then if you
session,
go
it's
up,
like, yeah.
Are you trying to get in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're actually in this activity guide up here.
Oh,
We mix them around. And if you scroll
I know,
down-
just getting it is the hard part, yeah. Okay, now go ahead and click on that.
Spend authorization.
ah, perfect.
Yeah. So if you guys are following along on the activity guide, we're actually on the week 1 activity guide. If you went to the workday.byu.edu website in group F,
Hey, great.
On the first-
Right there.
I think it's called week 1.
Okay, you're good.
There's an activity guide there that will help walk you through the steps to create the spend authorization.
All right. I swear I just went backwards. This take me through again. Okay. So if you go up, so is everybody in now? Everyone's logged in? Okay, great. So if you go up to your top left-hand corner where the menu is, you can see the expense hub that's there. And if you click on that, it will take you in. And if you go into we're going to create a spend authorization. All right. We're gonna do a spend authorization. So as that goes in, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the company of BYU. Now, this is where you'll want to take note of your company. So FSY, if you're traveling for FSY, you'll use
FSY.
the FSY LLC. If you're traveling for a CE events, you'll use the CE events. If you're not in either of those areas, you'll use the BYU. So this is one thing that continuing education is very different with the rest of campus, is we have these LLCs that have kind of allowed us to select them and have a little bit of a different routing.
I have a question.
Yes,
So what about this HSDL
the
LLC?
HSDL LLC is pertaining to Carl's area.
So would my marketers be using that for their travel? The marketers?
Potentially, the high school distance learning is what that stands for.
Yeah, so all the high schools.
So all the marketing, travel would
They're
be under that
employees
LLC?
of the BYU company.
Yeah, they're employees of
And
BYU,
so-
and they represent, they often represent university on their trips too, so it might even look.
It's broken.
So, yeah,
Going to both.
you have to be careful as to whether they're the BYU employees or if they're a LLC employee, and that's where the help from the associate controllers will come. And this is the one thing that we have to be very careful in continuing education for, because we want that company to match whatever activities and other cost centers that we're doing. So if they cross it gets a little bit complicated.
And their conversations we're still having, because we're a BYU employee, our company is BYU, but all of the expenses could be at one of the LLCs. So Lindsay's met with Eric Smith to talk about it, and I think we still need to get that little piece figured out, so.
Yes. We are complicated. We've learned that. Okay, so for purposes of today, we'll go through the BYU company. So go ahead and in the memo, make up some place that you want to go. I just got back from Disneyland, so maybe I want to go back.
In the justification one
So in
or
the,
description?
so in the description, we're going to put a little description as to what we're going.
You're actually on an expense report if you want to, is there a screen
Oh.
of the spend off?
We'll go back here. How about we go back to this one? There we go. Okay. My brain is, sorry. Okay,
Okay.
we're gonna start from All right, I'm gonna fill in the BYU company, put in some dates that you would like to travel anytime in the rest of this year. And in your description, make sure you put in what it is you're traveling for. I'm going to Walt Disney World because I like it. You're gonna go to a marketing, whatever. Your business purpose will be, there's a list there that you can choose from. Most of the time, what we're gonna choose is a vendor meeting or an event. They do have some other items in there, but that one's going to be our frequent usage. Then the reimbursement payment type will auto-populate as direct deposit, if that's the way that you've got it set up. And then the last thing we need to do is, in the justification, put in there the location that you are traveling to. This just kind of helps it carry forward.
So if you're gonna use a corporate card, is there a reimbursement payment type like a corporate card or
So that reimbursement payment is only if you are getting
reimbursed?
any money,
Bill per diems.
per diems, or if you have to use your personal card for some reason. Okay. Everybody to that point? Okay. So we're going to add an expense item. So scroll down and find your little plus and add sign and click on it. Okay, so then it comes up where you'll put in, to the right-hand side, you'll choose an expense item. So choose, you go under your expense spend categories, or you can just start typing car rental. It'll search for it. We're gonna put in a car rental, an airfare, and some per diems as we go through this. And when you search for it, I had to get used to this. You have to click the enter button and not the tab button, or it won't go. You can also search for it under the categories by travel. I just start typing in car and hit enter. And then you can choose car rental underneath there. So you'll see underneath there, like if you typed in car, you'll see car rental, you'll see car rental fuel. We're just gonna put in a car rental. And then the next thing you wanna do is choose an amount. So this will just be kind of an estimate as to how much you're going to spend on your car rental. I want to get my Corvette, so we're gonna,
Yeah, so the program is related to your cost center and that will just come in for you.
Put an
That's
amount
correct.
there.
You're yeah, an academic support program and funds. You have to worry about those.
Lindsay,
Yes.
do we know if is it like Chrome River where if you do your estimated total expenses and then you hit it, it automatically closes out the expense report like Chrome River did?
So like, you mean once you've used it all?
Yeah, so if you put in $2,000 and you reported $2,000 and then a week later you had a toll receipt come in, Chrome River would close it out as soon as you hit the limit. Do we know if Workday does that?
My understanding was no, but
I don't think it does. I can find out.
It was one of our assessment questions.
it was one of our assessment questions, and I was like, pretty sure it does not close itself out.
And
It will
we're
keep,
wondering if our
it
answers
will-
were right.
so it will keep spending until you personally close it out. So the weird thing is like you have to either select or finalize your spend authorization and say you're done. Once you do click the final, this is done, then it closes that out and you can't use it anymore. So you really want to make sure that you are 100% done with all your expense reports before you say and check the little final expense. So the nice thing is we got them away from encumbering all these expenses. So,
Carl has a
I
question.
have a quick question.
yes, Carl.
So Back to the reimbursement one,
Uh-huh.
the direct deposit. Do you know if this connects to like payroll direct deposit accounts or is there a
Yes.
separate one that needs to be set up?
It's not your payroll, it's a separate one that we've already set up.
So it's, okay, so it is still a separate one.
Yeah.
So if you've already set it up, it should come across when they load in all of the new Workday information. If you're new and you haven't,
BYU.
yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in, so we've got a car rental in there.
Anything in the memo?
No, any of the red, remember that the red asterisks are what is required. It won't let you move on or give you an error if you get to the point. And then there's always the instructional text on the side. I probably should pull up mine and walk through with you guys.
Oh,
on
I like
this.
it.
I'm sorry, I train better like person to person. Okay, so before you, don't click the submit button. In order to add another one, click the add button again.
It's
So-
weird that the add button's at the top after you've gone and filled everything out
Yes.
below it. You scroll,
You have to scroll back up and do the add.
it makes no sense.
Is there a shortcut key for that?
Not that I found. No.
You could say, oh, I've got 5 items, click add 5 times, and then you won't have to go back up and add, you just click on the different things that'll give you 5 boxes.
Are there hotkeys
For adding, not that I.
or anything for anything in Workday?
I have not
Nobody's been
learned.
talking to us about hotkeys.
I have not learned any hotkeys since I've been in this, so if there are, I don't know what they are yet, but if I find them, I'll let you know. So go ahead and add a car rental, an airfare, and Maureen add some per diems. And as you're working through that, if you got a question, raise your hand. If you need some help, raise your
And
hand.
after you submit, you're gonna see up next who needs to approve it. Let Dia know. She's gonna have to proxy in as everyone you've selected
It
as an
says you
approver.
have to.
Okay, so since that's me, I can approve yours. Good.
Todd
Penny.
Lilly.
You're like, Todd Lilly. Go ahead. Yep,
All right, Nathan, yours is approved.
so it's not seeing.
Oh, you must not have read
There
it.
you go.
I didn't even read it at
I just
all.
hit the tab button and it added it to it, so it just was.
So now do I need to go to my tasks?
So if you already submitted it, then go ahead and let Dia know.
Are we gonna do the per diem thing in here? Or does it automatically do it?
4 years.
No, we've got to add a per diem.
Yeah. you
So
can
add a
do
per diem on there. And that's where you'll want to make sure that you put in your location so that pulls in the right per diem amount. Now, for the students who may be doing this, if you scroll down, you'll see the cost center that's there. And I know that my students will definitely have this. If you scroll down to this cost center, you can change the cost center. Right now, we're all in financial services, which means Chanel's gonna get a lot of them to approve unless you change the cost center and go in and choose a different activity. So for instance, go into that activity and type in like books for young readers, and it'll reroute itself.
And I am not approving the $10 million pens.
Who's buying $10 million of pens?
It was art.
Yes.
I am sending that back.
Hey, but she
Let's submit
approved
it.
my
But I did his
$38,000.
$38,000 travel.
So as you're going through, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that cost center, and that's where you'll want to
Fly first class.
change it. So
How do you view old ones? I mean,
we'll go through.
I think that's
Okay.
coming up.
one.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's like firearms, $7,000.
It comes back to me.
if you go up into your little task box, that's on the right-hand side next to your picture, it'll show you where your expense, or what tasks you have.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I will give you- I will give you the art.
I do like $10 million of art, so I guess.
Wow.
I justified it.
So you'll see, so if you go into your task list, you can see like Alex got one sent back from Chanel. And she said, no, it's a $10 million worth of pens. It'll populate in there for you. Books for young readers, I think, is under Emily Barrett.
Emily Barrett.
Yeah. You just see what that comes through. So does
You guys-
anybody,
Are you guys checking your additional details after you submit to see who's the next step? So then we know for sure who we're going to.
How do you?
We went to Scott.
How do you?
You're
do
doing it to
this?
Scott,
Sorry.
okay.
Do I just-
Yep, there's your next step.
Oh, count?
Let's do 2 minutes.
go into your expense. Into your expense reports.
Did you see any hotkeys?
No hotkeys.
Well, the only thing that I found is when you go to check mark something, you can just hit the space bar. So if you're just tabbing through,
I'm currently submitting.
but that's pretty normal.
Spacebar will do what?
It'll check
Would
the
it
box
go-
for you.
Straight up past in Workday.
I don't know where.
Will you say that question louder?
In Chrome River, my expenses are currently going up to Sherry. Will they skip Sherry and go to the higher step in Workday?
So they go to your supervisor if you are the one, or they go to the cost center like to the activity manager. So if you put yours in and Sherry is your supervisor, then they'll go to Sherry. If you were to change the cost center and put it to, for instance, I had Steve put one in for Books for Young Readers, which is a conferences and workshop. It will go to Emily, who runs that. So it kind of follows the same way. We tried to keep it the same approval way.
Coming to you next,
As
Sean.
Chrome River.
I prove it.
Sherry's is coming to you next.
Scott Howell has one.
Oh, Scott Hell needs to go and approve some.
He can't get in.
Oh, I already did
Going
that.
to Scott.
I
Denied.
approved Sherry's offer.
Did that just pop up for you? Sweet. Steve, did you hit the submit button? on
Yeah,
your-
it said it got submitted.
Okay.
Okay, Howell's
It
is
said it
coming
went
to
to you,
you,
though.
Shauna.
Oh, it's on me now.
It's okay though, you can continue the training.
Yeah.
now.
No. I'm slacking in my duties.
That's-
Workday doesn't have any ability. Still can share it.
Does everybody know where you can see where the status is of your expense report? It should be popping up for you to tell you where it's going. So everybody gotten the pop-up as to where they're going? Okay, just want to make
You can
sure.
also go to your archive if you want to revisit.
Where do you go to, where's the archive at?
It's on the left, part of that
Go to
little.
your inbox.
Say archive?
Yes, it's a archive. Here,
Go on your inbox. That one. And then mark.
Archive.
Or is it also in your notifications? I don't know.
I can see mine in
It
my
might be in your
tabs.
notifications too.
This little button.
Is that?
well, Chanel, everything said it was coming to you next.
Okay, I've been getting them as they come, so I'll keep watching.
Did you see the one for Todd Willie?
I
Yeah,
saw the
so
one.
If you
for
see the
Colette.
little bell at the top right hand, you can also go in that way.
Oh, my spend authorization went to.
Went to who?
I went to
Laura?
Laura 'cause-
Yeah, if you're in as cashier.
Cause I'm still in as a cashier.
Oh, you're right, this would be back before you transfer, huh? You can,
Did you do it for worker?
Animals in there.
Cause I see one for your name.
So,
and
I
then-
submitted
Mhm.
an authorization and it said it was going to Todd Willie.
Oh, okay. Let me grab see it.
Nice.
And then what? 10 minutes.
It's in there.
there you go.
Todd is going to you, right?
$100,000.
How's it going?
So if you go back in to view your expense reports, you can go into the little bell and pull them and view your spend authorizations. In the upper right-hand corner, it'll tell you where the status is. Left. And it'll tell you if it's approved or if it's waiting on someone. So does everybody have an approved spend authorization?
You don't tell me who's it, who's the person.
Who's the person?
It is approved yours. Left.
Thank you.
You got nothing over here?
Just for your case.
Got that far.
Waiting on cost center manager, that's great.
It's only $35.
Once
Because
in
if you do
progress,
over 50, then
some long bags.
Oh,
Oh, I
you're doing
see.
an expense report,
Mhm.
not a
He's-
spend off.
He's trying to go to a Dodgers game, so I'm not really sure that I would approve that either.
it's client interaction.
I see. Last time I checked, the Dodgers game was a lot more than that.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Never seen.
Oh, yeah, there's the 10 million.
It's for us.
Yeah, the art I sent by.
Yeah, it's gonna go to vice president
Oh.
or president approval, and we can't proxy as them, so you're stuck.
Oh, it's gonna go-
Send it back,
Sorry.
send it back.
I'm sending it back.
Hopefully they're not training the workday right now.
That's right. $10 of art.
Chanel, do you have one for? Or you
What's your
can,
last name?
Hilton, HORT.
aha. This is awesome because Ethan just got an alert. Spend authorization should be attached to, oh, did you do a spend authorization or did we do it? We did an
He's
expense
doing an
report.
expense report, that's what I said, you've gotta have a receipt attached if it's over $50.
So, that's why
Promise.
it's not coming through.
Yeah, do this sometimes.
Let's see, does it start with the? Yeah.
Oh, Brayden. You guys are advanced. That's
They are
good.
advanced. They skipped ahead. Okay. So everybody got in and was able to get a spend authorization except for, it's okay. You're just ahead of the game. Now you'll know how to do anyways.
Just reverse when we do expense report, then do
There
expense.
you go. You can go in and do a spend authorization. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna talk about expense reports. Okay, so expense reports are gonna follow the same workflow that we've kind of talked about already. So when you go into create, you'll create an expense report, not a spend authorization.
Okay.
You guys are gonna do it backwards. You're gonna create a spend authorization this time. So the first part of it is the same. Your business purpose is going to be your vendor meeting or event, or it's got a whole list for you. Like I said before, it's kind of, but what we're gonna look at is over here, we've got the add button where we're going to add a credit card transaction to it. This is where hopefully we have some transactions in there. If not, that's all right. So Step one, when you do an expense report, if you're traveling, you can create a new expense report right from that spend authorization. So it's kind of like Chrome River where you can import the travel authorization right there at the very beginning, or you can create a brand new expense report. So you've got a couple of options there. And then once we put in the information, then we'll add a credit card transaction. The information we need to make sure that we have is the expense date. It'll be pulled right off of whatever credit card transaction was populated in there. The memo is required for every line, even though it doesn't have an asterisk, it's BYU required. So that's where you're going to put in a little bit of a description. You know, this is my car rental fuel. This is my car rental. This is, you know, on Chrome River, we have that big description box. That's, the memo is going to be where that description is going to go.
This is like one or the other, right? You would do a spend authorization or an expense report?
So you're gonna do a spend authorization before you travel, just like a pre-approval right now.
All those expenses go on that?
Well, now this is when you return.
Oh, when you're saying.
When you
this is what
return
I
from your
actually
travel,
spent.
or you now have actually made purchases on your credit card, you're going to do an expense report.
I've never seen the pre-approvals before.
So you're
I've only
probably
seen
really
this.
used to just doing these.
Yeah.
So the expense report comes when you actually have charges or you've returned from your travel, your spend authorization is beforehand. Okay. You're welcome. Okay. It'll populate all of your credit card transactions, and if you go into your little include where the check mark is, you can add those expenses. I have noticed you can do it just like Chrome River and add multiple at the same time, and then it'll put them all on the site for you, and you can do them, or you can go in one by one, whichever way you want to go. This is new. This is where it's going to be a little bit difficult for people. Right now in Chrome River, there's a little line that says Utah sales tax or Utah tax, where you put the tax information. In Workday, you have to add an itemized line in order for the tax to be included on there. So this is the one thing, once we do the activity where we're gonna really sit down and itemize this Utah sales tax. So we'll add an itemized line where it'll populate over here and you'll see the expense item will be the Utah sales. You'll pull out whatever tax that is on there and make sure that your cost center, it will automatically update to whatever the activity is for the sales tax. So we want to make sure that we don't change this lower part right here. It'll be kind of like the Chrome River automatically sends it to the tax office for that. So this is the one new thing that we're all going to have a really hard time with. Because it's not a little box that you can do. But the nice thing is by doing this, those of us who review it can actually change it. So if somebody forgets to add it in, right now we have to send it back in Chrome River. When it comes to us, those of us that review it, we can actually add this line in ourselves. So we're not sending it back for the tax line or to correct the amount. So there's some good and bad with this. This is the one thing as reviewers, we're gonna have to watch for it the most, is to make sure that this tax line is done, because people have gotten used to that little box.
Just saying, if there were to be an assessment, that'd be a good thing to know.
Okay.
I mean.
So reminder, there's
Don't
no
forget that.
lie,
Don't
you
forget
have to
tax.
itemize your sales tax. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead, well, okay. You can find your expense reports. If you go into the find expense reports, it'll show you all of the ones that you've done. Ethan, this is where you were going to try and figure out what we were doing. those of us as managers can see anybody that's on our team, which is really kind of nice because you can see them all in one location for anybody. You can filter it, there's a little filter key, you can filter it by expense report, by who it's paid to. So it's kind of a nice, you won't have to go to each individual person, you can do it by your team. All right, expense reports go to the approvers, it's the same, it goes into their My Tasks. They can send it back just like Shawano sent back $10 million worth of pins. And they can approve just right there on there.
Do we have the reassign?
No, because it will go through the reviewer and then onto it'll go through 2 steps. So right now, I review them and I can't change anything, then I send them on to the cost center manager or onto whoever needs to approve them. Whereas Workday, it'll send them to the reviewer, and once they approve it, it goes on to the cost center manager itself. So you don't have to.
So when I reassign to John Bush, that won't happen.
Okay, so let's do an expense report. And for these gentlemen over here, they're gonna do a spend authorization. Okay, so go back in to your expense hub and create an expense report.
Interesting.
And the one thing that's different, you're not picking a GL account, you're going in and you're saying it's art supplies, and it's behind the scenes, it's gonna go look and find art supplies and it knows what general ledger account to charge it to. So it's, on expense reports at least, it's very descriptive of what you're purchasing.
Can you type in the numbers still, or do we have to only type
So they're all
out?
gonna be different.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if you're used to going in and typing 6180 for your meals, the 6180 doesn't exist anymore. So you have to search everything by a description. You have to search meals.
And if you mess up on a letter, will it still pull up closely, or will you get exactly on?
No, so you don't have to put the whole thing.
Yeah, you can just
Get the
type like the
first
first.
3 letters.
So if I say MEA, it's gonna give me all the different types of meals. And
I
you
see.
select which one it is, per diem, group travel, hosted.
So yes, I've learned to search by 3 letters.
Okay.
So go ahead and go in and we're gonna create a new expense report. You're gonna put in the memo.
And do you go through?
Whatever your description is, it's just your description that you would typically do. And then your cost center comes up. And all of those red things will populate, and then you have to make sure that you put in your business purpose as well. Remember the red asterisks. And that's where you can put in your meeting or your travel trip, or this is an event. They're all populate for you. Okay? Then go ahead and scroll down and you will see the credit card transactions. Choose a couple and put them on there. And then I want you to try and itemize one of them with Utah tax. So go through and raise your hand, shout out, hoop and holler.
Maybe I missed attaching, you have to attach a receipt to submit an expense report.
Yes.
Talk about that.
It'll populate errors for you. So that's why it wasn't proceeding forward, as it wanted you to attach. And so it's the same thing, Rick. Remember, you gotta attach before you can actually submit it. So
Okay, I don't have any of my expenses that have tax.
it doesn't, no, like you can just put any of them on there and itemize out tax. It doesn't, the transactions that you have on there to choose from are just past transactions that have come through on your expense reports. I don't know if the students are going to have any transactions. So we may have to do some one-on-one with the students later, but those transactions, if they don't typically have tax on them, you can go ahead and still choose one and you can itemize it. Yes, pretend it has tax on it.
Okay, so I pushed okay.
And so as you proceed along, you'll get yellow alerts or you'll get red alerts. Red alerts won't allow you to move forward. And if you bring them up, it'll tell you exactly what it is that's waiting for it.
I have to add a receipt.
Yep.
To make this work.
Yep.
So
So
you can do it.
you could just drop in, when I did the training on this for a receipt, I just dropped in a Word document that was blank. Just save a Word document. Otherwise, it won't go through the approval process and you won't get to see how that workflow goes.
In here, on the right side, where it is itemization. Since I've already added gigs.
Yeah, so if you go in and you clear the paid with a corporate.
So when you
card
get
checkbox,
to the
then you
point
can
to
do it
do
without a
a
transaction in there, you can just.
tax, there's an itemization on the,
Charges.
I like you guys don't have any.
Costs.
Mhm.
I think we're.
That kind of going in and doing a little.
I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Are you right now?
Whoop, whoop. So the itemization, if you keep scrolling down, you'll see the itemization where you can click. I bet you anything it wants some receipts. So any of the red asterisks, that's what this top one is. The page areas where it says something's needed, apply to the red asterisks. Where there's a.
Check the receipt.
Yeah. And then you can
Oh, I
just
just
attach any
created a Word
PDF.
document.
Yes.
I don't know.
Are we,
Laptops
do you
right
want
now
us to
have
send it
anything
along here?
Yeah.
Just-
Right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can
And
select
then
it or
you'll
you can
see all
drag it
the
on there.
errors
For the receipt.
and it will tell you who you do the tax. Instead you were going to, so there's a place where you have to drag and drop it right there.
Wait, so as long as.
The memo for BYU is required, it doesn't have the red
Yeah,
asterisk.
it'll be why.
Because it's giving me somewhere that's saying that sales tax shouldn't
Be
be
separated?
like. The word just says.
Okay, so if we go into this
It's asking me for an expense item.
So if you
Just
start
choose from
typing
something
three,
that they-
yeah. So
So
expense,
is it purchasing?
Or is it, do I add it to the itemization?
So that expense
You have to
item
be
is-
really familiar with what all these are.
yes, that's why you can go in and you can search by all of those, or like if it's, like this one is your Google, type in advertising, like ADD or MAR.
I'm gonna have to like look at all of those so I know what to think.
Lindsay, the
Think
Utah
about
tax.
Yeah,
So you go down at the bottom into your itemization and you add your line on, and then
You get something from Hertz rental car, it's.
So it's not broken out like this.
Yeah, so I think he has to go into this one.
Yes.
And then go down.
so in order to itemize it, you're not adding a line, there's an itemization on the bottom of that expense transaction.
You just hit itemize here.
Yes. Yeah. So you have to keep scrolling down to where you see the itemization. So keep going. Right there. Yeah. So you're not adding another transaction to it, you're scrolling down to the bottom of your transaction to find the itemization. You guys have a song over here? Oh, the doctor's here.
That was my, yeah, that's where I said.
Did you watch the last year?
There you go.
Can't
Remember,
remember.
That's your
This is the last game.
Anybody but the Dodgers.
It's getting crazy.
This
part
was
after. That's because then the spin.
Would you rather have the
Yes.
Yeah, actually.
My Rockies may suck, but anybody, I will cheer for anybody but the Dodgers. You're right, they're not. But they're not. Okay. Did everybody get an itemization for their tax? Everybody get an expense in?
So you have to type in the business reason.
Yes, you
And
gotta have a
Utah
business
sales
reason.
tax,
Yep.
Like that.
Yeah.
So not user
Tax.
friendly.
Any of the red asterisks has to have something in it.
Yeah,
Right.
what call center did you
I know,
choose?
but when you get to this
Do you
blank
remember?
screen, you're
Or you
like.
didn't, you just
okay.
took what was defaulted?
I noticed the
Item is at the first.
right.
To the last
Yeah.
part. Was it that's the last?
No.
That's what you did.
So
Yes,
usually it will come
if it was a
over
personal
already
expense.
populated
So-
based on your, where
Only if
you
it's in
are
Utah.
hired in. And then you can go in and change it if you were doing it in the appendix.
Okay, so, as a personal
I think right
expense,
now it's
personal
probably, yeah, the
expense,
finance.
if
Because that's
part
where you're
of your
hired.
hotel was personal, you wanna click that box.
Okay.
So Sherry just asked me about personal expenses.
You take your wife on the trip,
And-
you take out her.
Yeah. So, right now in Pro Harbor, you can add, allocation for a personal expense. In Workday, there's a little itty bitty checkbox
Okay, so, yeah, so, yeah.
on the bottom of the
So
itemizations
it's
for
the
you to click
manager
for
of
personal
finance and business
expenses.
services.
So part of that
So-
transaction was a personal expense, then you gotta make sure you click the little box, then it'll, then you can break out the personal part. Okay, now, you see how these all have a red? Bet you it's because if you click right here, it'll tell you what's missing. So page there, there must be an expense item. And then, yeah, your client item was over 60 days, but we can't help that fact.
There's things floating in that drink.
So if you're adding expenses to it, you can see that it does it like Chrome River where it put the asterisk, not an asterisk, an exclamation mark if you're missing something. And you can go in and fix it. You can just click on the red alerts and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do. However, it will not tell you need to break out tax. There is no error or alert for breaking out tax, sadly. And just so you guys are all aware, I'm gonna be doing some videos of how to walk through all of these and do a step by step. And we'll also have the knowledge base, but especially people who only travel once a year. So there'll be some reference knowledge base as well as some. All right. Okay. Has everybody submitted an expense report?
Unsuccessful.
Hmm?
Unsuccessful.
It's okay. That's why the alerts are there for you.
Great.
Don't worry, when I was doing it the very first time too, I had lots of them. So. Okay, go in and view your expense report and see where it is sitting. See if it needs an approval, and if so, we'll let Dia or Chanel, whoever needs to approve it, approve it. So you can go up to that bell again, or you can go into view your expense reports, find an expense report.
Where is it?
It's not in the
Where
bell.
am I supposed to put it?
Oh,
It is in the
sorry, I
archive.
forget. Mine come to the bell.
Okay,
Okay,
help me walk through that there.
so what's popping up that?
It says, change the itemized amount or add another item, that's fine. Each of the amount for this expense.
All right, so we're down here at.
$1 trillion.
Okay, so it's itemized amount, this. Haha, one on it's 15 and it's not.
Should this be expense item?
Okay, so there's one error that Sherry and I just found. It's gonna tell you, if you're breaking out tax, then you need to make sure that the tax and what is on your expense item are the grand total of the purchase. Otherwise, it's gonna tell you, you can't proceed forward. So as you're putting in the expense item, you need to make sure that the amount that is listed in there is only the subtotal before the tax. Otherwise, it'll tell you you have too much. So this has the $15 on it. What you need to do is actually go in here and we're going to this amount so that it is.
Another way?
We should have bought full travel.
Non-employee.
Everyone what's in here?
Oh, yes.
This one should say you got those ones or not.
Yeah.
Creating.
Is it gonna be
There.
longer than-
There for her proxy rights, it's actually a delegation.
You don't have to show them where to go to put in like that.
Forgot to add something.
Non-employee,
Oh, yeah, into the non-employee one.
we don't need to do it.
Oh.
Turns it all red.
Just.
Oh, just a change.
Do, I can tell. Bated breath.
Okay. We'll come.
Okay.
We'll come. All right. So make sure we get through all of this. Okay, so was everybody able to go in and itemize a tax, upload a tax, submit a document? Any other weird, crazy things going on? Okay. Oh. That's the end of it? Okay, there's a couple of things that I will just let you all know. So we do have the ability to delegate just like we do in Chrome River. One crazy thing is right now we've set up what we call super delegates. So like I have the ability to see everybody. Each individual employee has to delegate themselves to other people. We cannot go in and delegate a whole bunch of people to each individual person. Originally, when we did this, we thought we could under the LLCs, but because all credit cards are paid by BYU, we don't have that ability. If that changes in the future, we'll let you know, but that was the sad part of it all. So I will have to delegate to my students, each individually. Anybody who wants to delegate and have their students access it will have to go in and delegate individually. So one thing I thought we could do as we get into that and everybody's kind of in there after the first of the year is I will set aside some time and we'll have delegate parties.
And the delegation isn't, it's a permanent delegation, it's
No,
for
no,
a
no.
time period,
It is a
but at
time
least we
period.
can do a 3-year time period.
We can do a long period of time, so like if I know that I've got a student that's graduating in April, I can put it till April. Or if I've got a student that's graduating in like year 2026, you can put it for that. But it does have to have a deadline.
Do you know if it lets you do 9999?
I actually went to like 40/24. So you
and it let
can't,
you go that far.
it did let me go that far. I tried it. So you can go way, way far into the future. The other really neat thing about it, even though we have to delegate, is currently in Chrome River, if I'm gone, I have to approve my own stuff. But if I'm gonna be gone for 3 weeks and I am somewhere where I don't have service, I can actually delegate my tasks to Chanel or Carl or Colette while I'm gone for that shortened period of time. Those when you're delegating your tasks, you will want to actually delegate for that small period of time. But if you're going to delegate tasks, you can't delegate for a long period of time. You do also have to go in and delegate each individual task.
Really?
So
Each individual task or just the type?
the type of task. So you have to go in and delegate. I want them to be able to do spend authorizations, and I want them to be able to do. So that's why once we kind of get all in there and we all have our access and stuff, I'll set up a time and we can go in and delegate to our students, so that they have that ability. And then any admin, we can set up time. That was the one sad thing that we learned a week and a half ago that we thought we were gonna be able to do with the LLCs.
So if you have people who always have questions and need help on their expense report, you can't go in now and see their expense report anymore to help them through unless you get them to
So we'll have to,
share it with you and delegate with you.
we'll have to get them all to delegate. Unfortunately, for those of us that have, I don't know, dozens and dozens of employees, and as students leave and things like that, they'll have to redelegate to their new employees. So sadly, that is the one down.
Will the old student employees automatically be taken off once they?
If they are terminated, if they are actually terminated, they will fall off, but sometimes they don't get terminated. So if your students do leave you, it is good to actually go in and make sure that they got removed from delegate access, just like with any other thing. So the more you get in and play with it, go through them, the more you'll get familiar with it. But those are the two big things that I wanted to make sure everybody knew is the employee has to delegate. Whereas like right now, if I had delegate access for Colette, I could go under Colette and delegate other people to her. You can't do that anymore either. So that person has to log in themselves and delegate access. So sadly, once I have delegate access for all my admin I work with, I can't. And then the Utah tax. Those are the two really big changes.
Can we set up those delegations now in 10 and 11, or do we have to wait until?
It's not gonna move forward.
They're gonna go 10.
Yep. So you won't want to do any delegate access till the first.
Unless you wanna just play around and test
Yeah.
it.
You can do that too. I can show you guys later on how to delegate access. Students won't need to, but you just go into create delegate. That's what you search. So
Everything's created.
everything is create, find, view. So
A lot of times it's helpful to leave off the adjective because Workday likes to throw you a curveball. Sometimes it's edit, sometimes it's view, sometimes it's modify, sometimes it's some other thing. So just type in the thing that you're looking for, like spend off, or leave the find or that part off because you'll find that it hinders your ability to search sometimes.
The one thing I do need to ask Eric that I actually just thought about is, right now I can run a report for all the transactions that are outstanding, and I need to find out how we can do that for people. So right now you send out those.
Yep, sorry, I think it.
So I will follow up.
I think it may still go to Tableau, but.
I think so. I think it's still going to Tableau, but how we do it is not gonna be right there in Chrome River, so I'll find that out. Because my students live in there in the summertime. So. All right, we're a little early, but if you
What are
wanna
the-
stay and play, you
what are
can stay and
the-
play.